Hello and welcome to Monday's edition of Movie News here at MBE. Joining us as always is John, and John, have we got a headline for you guys?
Yes.
You could probably guess it from the thumbnail right enough. This came in only a few hours ago, John. We're both excited about this. We were actually talking about this chat on Friday night for a little piece we're doing for our friends over at T3 Media's. It's Michael Keaton. It looks like he's going to be returning to play Batman in a Flash movie. So it's early talks at the moment, John.
Yes.
It's like a Nick Fury-like role, so this article says. So I'll just fill you in with this article if you've not already read it. It's already been confirmed that Michael Keaton, who first played the big screen version of Batman in 1989 for Warner Bros. And its 1992 sequel, Batman Returns, is in early talks to return to the role once again. Keaton would play Batman in a Nick Fury-like role, starting with the Warner Brothers' The Flash, starring Ezra Miller, and could continue to play the Dark Knight and in other upcoming DC movies like Batgirl. Reportedly, the Keaton Batman won't impact the mythology being hammered out by Matt Reeves' reboot The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson as the Caped Crusader, and it will pick up his storyline after Batman Returns. Now, John, just before I hand over to you, it's very interesting. One, this is exciting news if you're a Batman fan and a big Michael Keaton fan. And secondly, it kind of quashes the sort of rumours or theories that Robert Pattinson's Batman is part of the DCEU.
Absolutely. Stephen, we've spoke about this many times before, and I've said before, DC also had their fingers burnt, their toes burnt. They were burnt like Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen and Star Wars A New Hope. When the Justice League released, they had a couple of lemons in short order. Obviously, Dawn of Justice, then Justice League. And then they obviously decided, look, we are not going to be following the same path, a similar route to Marvel, Disney, what they're doing with their interconnected MCU universe, cinematic universe. It's the same thing. And they decided, well, perhaps we'll go off and do more standalone type movies. It was heavily rumoured at this point. I think this was round about the build-up to Aquaman and whatnot, the build-up to Shazam last year, I want to say. And it was heavily rumoured that they were going on the more independent, self-contained story route. They were forgoing the DCEU. Now, also, you've mentioned there that Michael Keaton is part of the DCEU. He is the DCEU version of Batman. Yeah. He's going to be popping up in the Ezra Miller Flash movie.
It's picking up from Affleck.
It's picking up. So that's kind of strange. It's going to be jarring. We have had the Ben Affleck version of the character. Now we're going to Michael Keaton. And they're saying it's taking place after Batman Returns, you said. So that is the only jarring thing. Perhaps Batman multiverse, yes. Maybe he comes through a sort of time slip, wormhole, like
losses his hair.
Yeah, exactly, like Spider-Gwen and Spider-Ham and Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. But I think this confirms, and look, as I did say, it's been common knowledge. It's just not been out and out confirmed by DC, Warner Brothers, that they are going off and doing self-contained stories with Wonder Woman, self-contained stories with Batman. There's talk of potentially 3 other actors alongside Henry Cavill being looked at to make another Superman movie, perhaps with J.J. Abrams coming in and helming it, because of course he signed that deal with Warner Brothers. So they're going off and doing different things now. And look, the Flash is continuing on. Wonder Woman's obviously still semi a part of that universe because she did appear in Justice League, but if I go off and doing standalone movies, just completely forget about Ben Affleck's version of a character and then just do a sort of strange quasi-sequel, Michael Keaton version coming in. He's older, he's wiser, he's grislier. I love this. I love the actor. I obviously reviewed Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm pretty sure I did when we were still doing written reviews. Yeah. The charisma of the guy, obviously screen, the presence that he has when he comes on the screen.
It was Homecoming, wasn't it?
Homecoming, not Far From Home.
Yeah.
It was Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah. The presence he had as a villain, he commanded the screen. He was actually unnerving when he shared the room with obviously Peter Parker.
Shared that car with him.
Yeah, shared the car. It was very tense. He's a great actor. He's in a bit of a renaissance. Some would say he's never been away. No. I think this is great. I love his Bruce Wayne. He's probably the second best Bruce Wayne for me. We've gave it away. Sorry, this is going live, so just hope that people who are perhaps watching, who will be watching that T3 Media's video, haven't picked up. For me, he's the second best ever behind Christian Bale, but it's very, very close indeed. So to get this guy back, he could perhaps catapult himself above Christian Bale with what he does in subsequent movies.
I did say, when we were looking at the sort of perspective of the Bruce Wayne character, it was amazing because we were talking about it Friday night, and I did say that Michael Keaton perhaps needed that third film. Now, this article is not actually saying that he's going to be have a massive presence in any of these films. Starting with The Flash. It could be that they're trying to do what they're doing with the Henry Cavill's Superman as well, and
Big
just
cameos,
sort of little cameos here and there, just to
Or
sort
perhaps
of
start
interconnect.
off with a cameo and then maybe test the water for interest from the audience. If it pops, maybe they'll then slip him into more sizable roles. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that last part of the article saying that it does connect to Batman Returns, 1992's Batman Returns, is very interesting as well. So perhaps it's not going to be a cameo, as you said. It could be a build up to bigger things, but listen, this is major news. This is just as big a news as obviously Robert Pattinson being announced.
Absolutely.
Bruce Wayne as well, if you're a certain age. So we're going to move on anyway, John, to our next article. Another big franchise I know you love, Mamma Mia. Producer hints there could be a third movie on the way. Now, we spoke the hind legs off of Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again a couple of years ago, last year, I can't remember when it was, on box office quiz. It was hanging about the top 10 for quite a while here in the UK. Here in the UK, we love our musicals, and we also love ABBA as well, apparently. But we did talk about this, John. Before I just say what the producer's been hinting at.
Yes, I'll go to you, Stephen, because I'll let you talk.
At the time, when Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is how much of a catalogue have ABBA actually got? Because we're not massive fans. We know the hits. Well, it turns out they've got quite a few hits because they managed to do another film, and I think they only repeated maybe one or two of the songs from the original 2008 movie.
Yeah.
Now, the producer...
Mamma Mia being one of it.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a third Mamma Mia movie could be on the cards after Judy Kramer, producer of the previous two Mamma Mia movies, said that they're meant to be a trilogy, saying that Universal would definitely like her to do it. Kramer told the Daily Mail, "I think one day there will be another film because there's meant to be a trilogy, you see." Now, I've had my theories on this since I read this article earlier this afternoon, and I'm thinking, that perhaps that this might be a long way off. ABBA, from the musical side of things, there's been this talk, and I think they were actually supposed to have released new material, I think at last Christmas there, and it didn't materialise. I don't know what the hold up was, but they're on scheduled to release a new album with new material. Perhaps that could fit into the third movie, but a bit jarring since the rest of the stuff's like 40, 50 years old.
Yeah,
but
they've lost away like lots of those great acts.
The other thing I was thinking about was actually the plot. You've got Sophie, played by Amanda Seyfried,
Seyfried,
who's the daughter, obviously, of Donna, Meryl Streep's character. Now, Donna passed away in the second movie, so there's no chance Meryl Streep will appear in this third movie, but I think it's going to be a role reversal where you might see the Sophie character as the older mother and her daughter, I would assume, is playing the Sophie role. It's like sort of passing it on to the next generation of that family. What's your thoughts on this, John? I thought Lily James did a great version of the character as well, because obviously this film wasn't just a sequel, it's a prequel as well. There's a lot of flashbacks. You got the younger versions of all the characters from the first movie, and it seemed to work. A lot of people did like it, to be fair. I saw it once with my daughter, who's a big Mamma Mia fan, and there's a lot of musical numbers and a lot of musical icons as well, such as Cher, making an appearance as well. So what's your thoughts?
Colin Firth,
yeah.
Terrible voice. Yeah. Good lord, he's bad. What was he thinking? You're a drama actor, Colin. Oh, sorry, I'm thinking about Pierce Brosnan. Sorry, it was him. Absolutely dreadful. What was the song he sang? Can you remember?
Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah, it's best you don't remember that one, Stephen. What do I make of this? I think they are.
SOS? Might have been SOS. I can't remember.
So fitting. Very fitting. SOS. Someone save him. He's making an absolute fool of himself. He can't sing. I can't sing, but I don't even try it. Least of all in a blockbuster movie. But Stephen, look, they've obviously seen the success of the studio. The people involved in the movie have seen the success, and they thought, I think the second one was slightly less than the original. I don't think it quite made the same amount of money, but it still made money. And we are in the midst of a renaissance for the musical genre. It's on the way up, and we're seeing the likes of Lionel Richie movies being made now, and there's this god-awful Starman or something,
Well, we're talk about that.
Bowie movie perhaps coming out, but they don't have the license to use the man's actual songs. So It's going to be dreadful. It's not much of a musical if you don't own it. It's just incidental 70s music they'll use, and it'll be like some weird guy prancing about looking like David Bowie.
Yeah.
But they've obviously seen...
Mika.
Yeah. Shit. They've seen what the hell's happened with the first two movies, and they thought there's room here to make some extra money. If we can just eke one more movie out with this cast, perhaps some residual fan, I don't know, enjoyment will come out of the cracks, and they'll perhaps earn more money in this third movie. To me, though, it reeks like they are pushing the boat out just a little bit too far now.
I think so, yeah.
They're scraping below the barrel. The barrel's gone.
Yeah.
They're about 100 feet in the earth.
Yeah, they're sand in the wood.
Yeah,
the
the wood's gone, Stephen. It's in the earth. There ain't no more to do. ABBA, amazing band. Not a big fan of them. Not really into that sort of Boney M ABBA stuff from the 70s. Putting them in the same category as Boney M. That's a joke. I'm not into that kind of music. It's not for me. I like the more rock and roll sort of music, guitar music. So not really a big fan, but I can't dispute the sheer number of hits that the band produced throughout a 15-year period at least. So they have got a lot of hits, but I don't think they've got enough hits, individual hits, for a third movie. 2 was pushing it.
If
3.
Yeah.
And I think you're probably right, Stephen. I think it will be a case of them timing it with the release of this new material, hoping that it strikes a bell and that they can use that.
Because,
big risk.
You're talking about 40 years worth of music, John. Or that period, 40 years ago, I should say.
It's like Bowie releasing a Hello Space Boy musical.
Yeah, and then making a film about it. It depends on how that material's received
Hello,
as well. There'll be a lot of
Boy.
die-hard ABBA fans out there been waiting for this for decades. I was say centuries.
It feels like centuries.
Feels like it, especially when you look at them.
Oh yes.
But I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea to sort of base it on new material, because it really depends on how the fans react to the new material to begin with. But
yes.
I think there is a story there, John, as long as they get the same writers on board for that kind of theory I came up with would probably be really predictable. But I think a lot of people would like to see the continuing story of Sophie, and obviously Sky, I think his name was. But it really just depends on where they want to go with it.
It depends on the cast as well, Stephen. If they can bring back the likes of Lily James, she's a great actor. If you can perhaps...
Well, she was the young version.
So that's not going to happen then, no chance then. So that's the Meryl Streep character, she's dead and buried, so not... Well, maybe Amanda Seyfried and perhaps Pierce Brosnan, if they can rustle him up for another tune. I don't know how they do it. I'd do it, Steve, not do it. That's a Scottish slang. I don't know how they can do this and make it work. It's not for me. They're stretching the musical renaissance way too far now.
Something that's not for someone else, John, is Star Wars. It's not for Oscar Isaac.
No.
He has no desire to return as Poe Dameron right now. Now, I'm going to just bring this up because we've already heard from, like John Boyega and Daisy Ridley. They seem to be done with the franchise for the moment. I don't think they've burnt their bridges, although some might say some of them
John's
have.
pushing it. Some of these comments on Twitter.
Disney, certainly.
Yeah,
but
not with the whole Black Lives Matter thing,
but
just with what he's been saying about The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
He's pushing it big time.
Yeah, but Isaac
can't be hating on Kathleen Kennedy, John, come on.
Isaac recently spoke about his experience with the franchise in a Deadline panel where he insisted he enjoyed his time making the films. I enjoyed the challenge of those films and working with a very large group of incredible artists and actors, prop makers, set designers, and all that was really fun, Isaac said. However, if Lucasfilm were to approach him today with a new project for Poe, he likely wouldn't jump at the chance. He joked he would return to the franchise if I need another house or something. Though his longer answer was more thoughtful. He had this to say: "It's not really what I set out to do. What I set out to do was to make handmade movies and to work with people that inspire me. Paul Schrader's movies, the things that he's made, it's in my DNA. I'm not alone, obviously. For every actor of a certain generation, those are the films that made them who they are. So that's certainly my case. It feels like, for me, a personal turning point, and that, as far as I'm concerned, it has nothing to do with a finished product. It is the process of doing this." Now, I get what you're saying, John. I enjoyed his performances in films prior to his Star Wars work. There's two types of Star Wars sort of actors. There's the ones who see this as an opportunity to make a name for themselves. He's not one of them. and there's other ones that it's a lifelong ambition to appear in a Star Wars film. He is one of them. He's a Star Wars fan. He did it. He doesn't have to go back and do it again. So I totally understand what he's done. And those films, and I've seen a few of them on Netflix, John. They're fantastic. You know, I've reviewed a couple of his films from the Netflix releases. And,
Annihilation. He was very good in that.
Yeah.
Short role, but very, very good when he was in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he's a great actor, and he wants to try his hand at different things. This is the thing about actors, you know, and actors that don't want to be what was that word? Not pigeonholed, typecast.
Yeah, typecast.
You know, because you could really fall into that. You know, I think Daisy Ridley's probably the one that's got to worry the most because she was the most prominent figure. Very much.
She's the least talented actor out of the three.
Yeah, well, I was being.
There's always one, Steve.
Yeah.
I mean, Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I mean, the least talented actor is probably Rupert Grint, but he's still pretty damn good.
Yeah.
He's went to theatre.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to change up where you're going, the medium in which you do it, learn the craft.
Yes,
that's not a criticism of Daisy. I'm not saying she's absolutely honking, as we say over here, as an actor, but she's a little bit wooden in parts. John Boyega is a supremely talented actor. We've seen him in the likes of Detroit, Attack the Block, even before Star Wars. He's a great, naturally talented actor. He's got charisma. He's a likeable guy.
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac is by far the best actor of the leading three. If you were to include Adam Driver, he would blow them away as well. I think he's maybe on a par with Oscar.
Yeah.
I mean, he's right, Stephen. What he says, he's in no rush to come back immediately, because with what he says, he's had the itch, he's scratched it, and he's seen some of the nonsense from the toxicity that sort of exists in Star Wars fandom, and just people who are really passionate about these franchises in general, like Batman and stuff like that, as we've spoke about. There's a certain toxicity that lingers with the fan base. If it doesn't go exactly how they envisaged it on the screen, then they will not be happy, and they'll go after the people who are maybe not to blame, the likes of Kelly Marie Tran, I think it was, that played Rose Tico. They'll go after the actors instead of perhaps the directors and the producers and the presidents of the actual organisation, although Star Wars has done that as well. So perhaps he's looked at that and he's thought, look, I'm done with the criticism. It's not worth it. It's not for me. And then, as he does say, he's a more sort of independent type of actor anyway. You look at some of the releases, he worked with the Coen brothers on Inside Llewellyn Davis. He's been on Ex Machina, and I think you reviewed that. It was a really good movie.
He was excellent in that.
So and as I did say, Annihilation, I really enjoyed that. One of the better sort of Netflix releases recently. I think it was, I want to say it was Natalie Portman that was in it, but I may be wrong. I think it was Natalie Portman. Was it? I'll search that up, because I'm actually in IMDb at the moment. But he's appearing in June as well, with obviously Denis Villeneuve. That's the kind of movies this guy appears in. Yeah. Blockbuster to an extent, but they're more independently minded. Whereas Star Wars, we've seen the likes of, what's her face now? I'm totally blanking on her name. Patty Jenkins, speaking about how she doesn't want to be a part of big ensemble releases, directing them. There's too many people involved, there's too many nagging and whatnot, and then the toxicity. So I can understand why he doesn't want to come back, but he's not completely closing the door. He could in one day come back and play the character.
You know, I think from Lucasfilm's point of view is, they gave him a kind of a little backstory in Rise of Skywalker, a bit of history, if you like, and what he did previously, before The Force Awakens. But do you really want to see another Poe Dameron film, or do you want to see a standalone film with Poe Dameron? I don't think there's any interest in that. A television series we don't really need, because we're going to be getting a Cassian Andor one, which I think would be pretty similar anyway.
What I'd like to see, Stephen, more than anything, if he can somehow convince whoever it is, if it's Jon Favreau after Kathleen Kennedy, John Boyega and Oscar Isaac to come back, a Poe Dameron and Finn.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, Hobbs and Shaw, mismatched buddy, sort of gunslinging bounty hunter type movie where they're getting off into the
comedy.
Yeah, it's like comedic levels. They've got great charisma. You've seen it on the screen. They bounce off of each other. Similar level characters. Perhaps a way to show us maybe the force sensitivity of Finn as well. Having him bounce off Poe and learn on his journey to perhaps being a Jedi. That's something I'd like to see. Getting these two guys back together again.
It's a franchise itself, John.
It's not a standalone character. He's not got enough meat in his bones. He's not like a Han Solo when he's built up the. Maybe, I don't know, the what would be the right terminology? I don't even know. Just he's built up the right to have his own movie. He's not that type of character. He's a decent character.
It took 3 films to really establish his sort of backstory, John, and it was very vague. So I don't know what they were playing at there, but I don't really want to
kill him off, Stephen.
I don't want to see a television series or in that basis of a standalone character or anything. I don't think there's enough interest in the character either, you know. But listen, we'll move on, John,
Yes.
to a very interesting character. It's Jonah Jameson, and his next MCU appearance has already been filmed. Apparently, this is on screen,
Interesting.
right? Yeah, I mean, Far From Home, wasn't it? It was the end titles screen, I think.
Yeah, he's playing a sort of Alex Jones type conspiracy nut.
And he revealed, obviously, Peter Parker's identity,
Yep.
didn't he? As I recall, yeah.
Yes, he
Simmons revealed he has already shot one of Jameson's next appearances. This is what he had to say. We have, assuming that movie theatres reopen and people are back in movie theatres sometime the next ever, and if not, I guess we'll see it on our TVs at home. Simmons says, there is one more JJJ appearance in the can, and from what I'm hearing, there is a plan for yet another one. He did not share what project he will be appearing in, though. Now, John, I'm going to pose a question to you here, if I can be back on the screen now, yeah, so you can see me when I ask you this. Do you think that this next project may not be MCU related? It could be Sony related?
It's certainly a possibility, Stephen, because of course Sony hold the rights to Spider-Man, Peter Parker. They make the movies, and they get Kevin Feige through a gentleman's agreement to produce part of the movies.
And distribute, yeah.
And distribute it, obviously, as part of the MCU. So it's possible it could be, and it might be part of, I don't know how they could even do this, genuine, could it be part of Morbius? Because it can't, or Venom 2.
Yeah.
Could it be sort of interconnected, and that may be a thread of connection? Because of course there's been never-ending rumours about Venom perhaps jumping over to the MCU and being a villainous thorn in the side of Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And it would just solidify this relationship between Sony and Marvel, and maybe continue this adventure further of Peter Parker in the MCU, the sort of heir apparent to Tony Stark. That'd be very intriguing if that's the route they are going down. Perhaps showcasing him in maybe one of these Sony villainous films, and then that thread of connection is there and they can perhaps jump back and forth. Because I can't think of an MCU movie which is currently being filmed that would make sense for him to be in it.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3 is not yet in production.
No.
He's not even filmed The Departed. Look, The Uncharted. I always want to say Departed. It's not goddamn Martin Scorsese. The Uncharted movie. So he's still got a whiles to go. So it can't be that, unless it's perhaps just pre-established footage. It's been recorded for Far From Home. They're going to inject it in as a sort of cameo. Because he played that sort of Alex Jones conspiracy theory, not just hysterically shouting the name of Peter Parker out. He's not the Daily Bugle traditional version we've seen in the early sort of Sam Raimi versions.
Minus the hair,
Yeah, it's minus the hair. He's this sort of more podcasty internet persona. So I don't know how they're going to do it. I think that's probably. I think you may very well be correct. It could be part of the Sony villainous Spider-Verse. I don't know what that's even do. I don't know what the name of it is.
You know, with those talks that did break down last year between Sony and Marvel, whether or not that was part of the sort of argument, you know, that they wanted to have, you know, this actor who'd already played this character, you know, in the Sam Raimi trilogy all those years ago. 15 years ago was the last appearance, I think, something like that. 13 years ago, I think it was 2007. But he's a great character. He's a great actor, and he plays them so well, you know. And it's going to be very interesting. You know, we're talking about Michael Keaton coming back, you know, to play a role that he previously played, you know, 30 years ago. But it's going to be taken over from Ben Affleck's sort of position in the MCU, you know. I think the DCEU. We're in that sort of period now where these things don't really confuse us as much as they used to, you know. It wasn't that long ago when Rogue One came out, we were all worried whether or not sort of older generation or newer fans, you know, casual fans, were going to be very confused with timelines and stuff like that. I think we're all matured in the last 5-6 years that we can handle this kind of, you know, crossovers. You know, we're going to have two Batman, you know, coming up in the next few years. It's not really confusing, is it?
What do you make of that comment, Stephen? I have to interject.
If you
do you agree with that? Because I have to say, I kind of do agree with that, where he says he has low expectations for a Michael Keaton Batman because they will inevitably inject identity politics into the movie and it will cause havoc with the renaissance of Michael Keaton as the great Bruce Wayne. Is that something you perhaps agree with? I think it's inevitable that we're going to have some degree of identity politics in a 2021, 22. When is this Flash movie coming? I think it's inevitable we're going to have a degree of it.
Yeah.
So you may be right. It may ruin. It's not the 1990s, 89 anymore. But you can just have a good old story about a comic book character and it's just about his struggle.
It depends on his limit on screen as well. You know,
Yeah.
we don't really know just now. But thanks for that comment anyway. Galone the Hobbit. But it does really, make you wonder, whether they're going to take this, and obviously, how they're going to deal with the character going forward, whether or not it's going to be a massive leap in believing this is the same man we last saw in 1992. But it really just depends, John.
One more question for you, Stephen. One more before we move on. I'm sorry I'm throwing questions to you. You're supposed to be presenting the show. With this whole Jonah Jameson thing, him coming back into the Spider-Man, I'm doing it. The Spider-Man movies again. Would you like to see some other, I think we spoke about this before, some other variant of a previous Spider-Man coming through a sort of multiverse? Tobey Maguire, perhaps Andrew Garfield coming back and having interactions with Tom Holland's Peter Parker. Is that something you'd like to see?
A lot of fans would love that. That's that's fan service, and that's doing it right, because it would be, I'm not going to say it would be epic as obviously that sort of finale in Endgame or anything like that, but imagine that, getting Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire coming out of some portal to
quite something up. Wouldn't it?
It would be, and not a lot of time has passed, I think it would be believable, to do that. I think when you watch films like Into the Spider-Verse, it sort of opens up your imagination more and accepting different dimensions, etc. We saw it obviously in Doctor Strange, the first movie as well, that these things are possible in comic book world. Anything's possible in the comic book world, but when you see it on screen, your mind accepts it more. It doesn't become so cheesy, it doesn't become so unbelievable, when you see it happening on characters like Doctor Strange, etc. So I would love to see it. I don't know about you, John.
I'd absolutely love to see it, Stephen. Tobey Maguire for me is still the best, how shall I put this in a way it makes sense, Spider-Man. But Tom Holland for me is the best Peter Parker. I just thought, you're going completely here, Stephen. We may have to sort that out. It's for me still the best. So I'd love to see it in some way. I'd also think you're right. I think this whole Sony villainous thing, he's going to pop up in that, and then we will see maybe Mobius coming in and having a run-in with Blade and Mahershala Ali's character at some point. That's how I see it happening. But look, Stephen, I'll quickly pop off the screen here and sort out.
The screen up, John,
yeah. Actually, I will put the screen up. Yes, we'll go to the main, and I'll try and put the screen up. It's not coming up for some strange reason. There you go. Be back in a moment, guys. And we're back, guys. Hopefully that is us sorted out. We shall find out in just a moment. There you go, Stephen. You're back. Wonderful.
Yeah, but John, I think we'll just move on anyway to our last article. But yeah, it's good to see J.K. Simmons back in that role. But listen, we'll have a little bit of music chat just now. David Bowie and Bob Marley, top list of most anticipated music biopics.
Some people like to say.
Call them what you want. I don't want to see this. If you're not going to use original material from the great man, the late, great David Bowie, then I'm not that interested. But film fans want to see movies based on the lives of David Bowie, Bob Marley and Frank Sinatra, according to a survey. After the success of 2018's Bohemian Rhapsody based on rock group Queen, researchers polled the British public to find out what other musical stories they would like to see on the silver screen. Other dream rock star biopics which appear in the top 10 wish list include those of Kurt Cobain, Madonna and Stevie Wonder. John, now
yes,
I asked you a question earlier before we came on air, and the question was, what artist would you like to see in a biopic and at what period in their career?
Well, Stephen, that's a very tough question, I have to say.
All the rights to the music, and it
would be Bowie.
Yeah.
Because he's such a zany, interesting guy. He reinvented himself so many times. If this is taking place over the span of this man's life, Christ, you'd probably need a trilogy. Because he's just lived such a vivacious, is that the correct word? I'll use it anyway, life. He started off with the sort of curly haired
Yeah.
At late 60s, Bowie singing Space Oddity, then he went into Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders on Mars sort of era. Then he went to the slightly less strange sort of hunky-dory era. Then it was the Thin White Duke and stuff.
Yep.
Out and out heroin, rattling and cocaine era in Berlin in the 90s. He's had so many different personas. He's such a great artist, an amazing singer, songwriter. Just a really intelligent guy. Every time he spoke, the eloquence ripped out of him. You could tell he was articulated, he thought about every word. Loved the man, loved his music, loved all the personas, so it'd probably be him. But look, when you talk about Bob Dylan, Bobby Dylan himself, again, we've got a movie previously, you mentioned it, it had Kate Blanchett and stuff, and portraying him, multiple actors.
Yeah.
But I would love to see a Bob Dylan biopic as well. Musical though, not a biopic, because biopics are 10 a penny. We had the Doors biopic, that was very good. Bohemian Rhapsody was a semi-musical biopic. I want to see an out-and-out musical.
And Rocketman was an
out-and-out fantastical sort of musical. It was like sequences where he's been jabbed in the neck, coming from his pool, and then he's going right on stage. I want to see something like that, utilising the music, really upbeat, condensed, taut, whatever you want to call it, movie. Not really getting down in the sort of darker periods, just uplifting and celebrating their work through their music. And Bowie's perfect for that, Dylan's perfect for that, Cobain, not so perfect. He wasn't a very upbeat guy.
No.
I love Kurt Cobain, I love Nirvana.
Oh, we had Jared Leto.
Yeah, we had Stephen, if they can get Jared Leto in, that guy sounds like him, he looks like him.
Yeah.
Get goddamn Jared Leto in, give us a darker, more intense biopic, not musical.
I don't know if it was a full-blown biopic he did do.
Did they do it? I thought it was a short little video.
No, there was a couple of music videos, John. I'd have to look into that. Maybe someone can help us out here. But he certainly did, portray him in music, in those videos that we saw. But I don't know if it was an out-and-out film or anything like that. But my pick, I don't know. I don't really want to see any of the Beatles, to be honest with you. I don't think there's anything in there interesting enough from their solo careers. I think there's too much for McCartney to begin with. The guy hasn't stopped since he started. Lennon was away for 5 years. And can you imagine that film?
Bacon bread
and,
in the Dakota.
Kicking his kid.
I tell you what though, Stephen, I'd love to see The Lost Weekend in a short 1 hour biopic, even just a TV movie. That Lost Weekend, when he's taking drugs, he's drinking, he's hanging around with what the hell was Keith Moon from The Who,
and Harry Nilsson,
and Ringo, who was an out and out alcoholic at that point. That would be amazing. Seeing what they got up to back then. Listen, I want a time machine. I don't.
Brandy Alexander's.
Yeah, I want a time machine. I don't want a movie. I want to get back and join them. I love my drink as well. I'm a Scotsman. Come on, we all have hard drink. We've got problems over here. I have. But I don't know. There's so many great artists, so many great bands in the history.
I don't think Bob Dylan would agree.
Bob,
no. I don't think he's that interested.
His music's very.
Jeff Lynne, perhaps. He's had a very successful career, but interesting.
Has Madonna had a musical?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Again, interesting.
I mean, they've all got successful careers, but this would be something out with their, this would be their personal life if it's interesting enough.
Stephen, the Beastie Boys.
That's a hard one as well. To sort of replicate those guys. Roy Orbison as well. It's
Elvis.
Roy Orbison had a lot of tragedy in his life, with obviously personal tragedy,
Yes.
So I don't know how. It depends on the tone of the sort of film, I suppose, but there's so much out there. But it's interesting to see Stevie Wonder as well. I'm surprised there hasn't actually been, one already by him. We had obviously Jamie Foxx doing Ray Charles back in 2004.
That was a great movie,
it was
yeah.
a long time ago, and what a performance that was. But
Michael Jackson.
Well, there was one support. There was talks of that. We've talked about that, did we not? We've talked about that in the last couple of years in the venues. I'm sure. Really
such a hard guy to sort of replicate the voice, the look.
Justin Timberlake.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, he does wish that man's. No Justin Timberlake. No NSYNC. Not for me. Wasn't a fan of. Although they did have one really good video. I think it was a black and white video or something. Stephen, the final thing I would add would be, it would be dependent, as I did say, on the music of the artist in question. Not Frank Sinatra. I mean, they've got Frank Sinatra in here. What? Frank Sinatra wasn't a singer. He was a sort of crooner. He He's like one of the Rat Pack, I think they called him. He wasn't a singer, he spoke. That's what he did. He was a sort of multi-talented artist. He could act, he could perform. He was a big band performer. He wasn't a singer, so no, I don't want to. If it's a biopic about his time, then for sure I'd like to see a Frank Sinatra biopic, but not a musical. The hell, man, the most depressing musical ever. Get some Motown artists like Marvin Gaye or something like that. Get artists like that, and Otis Redding, Tragic Life. Yeah. People like that. Goddamn, I forgot his name. James Brown. Yeah. Get people like that, and people with big, interesting lives. They were colourful characters. Chuck Berry, amazing music you could dance to. You could get really into and love in a musical setting. That's what you need to see. You don't want to see people like Frank Sinatra and even Dylan. I love Dylan, but no. But yeah, I mean, Stephen, I ain't got much more to add. I don't know if you have, so that's going to round up our brief little show. I hope it's been brief anyway, apart from that little technical issue in the middle where the camera went off. What do you guys make about the potentially cataclysmic news that Michael Keaton is once again going to be coming back to star as Bruce Wayne, potentially Batman, in the upcoming Flash movie with Ezra Miller? Didn't ever get into the fact that's supposed to be a very dark movie, and Michael Keaton's coming back. That is intriguing. If he's playing a sort of Nick Fury character, that will be intriguing indeed. What do you make about Mamma Mia 3? Is that something you want to see, or are they ripping the absolute PISS out of it? Oscar Isaac doesn't want to come back to Star Wars again in the near future. Is that something you agree with? Jonah J. Jameson and musical biopics. If you have anything to say about any of the topics we spoke about today on the show, you can comment below and let us know what your thoughts are down below in the comments section. You can also like the video if you're enjoying us gibbering away, and you can subscribe to the channel if you want to see us continue gibbering away throughout the week and into the future. And we will see you then if you do, and if you don't, bye bye.